Hi there and welcome along to another edition of What's the Word in association with Ladbrokes. I'm Tom Malone. Join me this week. You got James Morden back again. We didn't scare you too much the last time you were back.
I said I'd come back and give it another go
survived your
today.
Christmas party as well, obviously.
Just about.
Good stuff. We have Johnny Ward as well and David Jennings too. And obviously we're counting down to the Christmas period. But David Jennings, big debut in a couple of weeks' time. New Year's Day.
New Year's Day, big day.
Yeah. Sorry, he's getting married, just to clarify.
I think everybody knows at this stage. I've been quite vocal in the build-up. New Year's Day.
Ready?
Like all year I was able to go, Asher, it's not till next year.
Okay.
But now it's kind of less than 3 weeks away. It's getting a bit too close for comfort, but I think I have everything organised, under control. The morning gym sessions are paying off, don't you think?
Absolutely. You're hardly even here. We need to pay for this wedding,
I hope that
Johnny.
wasn't sarcasm. Go on.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Sure, you gave up potatoes and bread and all sorts, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Went easy on the carbs.
You went easy.
Tried to look like Johnny Ward.
Johnny, we need to pay for this wedding. We need a Christmas winner. You were looking ahead.
Christmas winner, something I tipped last Sunday. This is just a horse that's totally been underestimated by people. He won the race last year, which is actually quite remarkable because I think he's definitely a better horse this year. I was at Down Royal when he won the J and Wine. He made one sloppy enough jump, but after that he came sort of back on the bridle. He absolutely bolted up, Road to Respect. And it was funny after the race, Noel Meade was saying, he's a half brother to Road to Riches, he's a lot better horse than him. And it's not like Road to Riches.
Yeah, it was a donkey.
I think going left-handed is probably better than right-handed, even though he was straight enough at Down Royal. The ground, being with his pedigree and all that, I think he's a much better horse on nice ground, which he will get at Leopardstown, unless it's absolutely deluge every day between now and then. If you look at the betting under him, Presenting Percy, first of all, may not run, and even if he does, to win this in his return is asking a hell of a lot.
James, maybe just come in there. How did he bet on this race?
Currently, we do have Road to Respect in around about 3-1. He's actually favourite now, so I think people
obviously been reading your column,
stuck into Johnny's selection there. Presenting Percy's at 7-2. Just wanted a bit of a bigger price that we kind of think he'll definitely go as Monolly at about 8-1.
Yeah,
Monolly, I was very disappointed in him at Down Royal. Now, maybe he needed the run and he was running over an inadequate trip, but simply enough, his form isn't good enough to beat Road to Respect. Like, he's to improve to be Presenting Percy, who demolished him at Cheltenham. And then you look at Bell's Hill. Will he run? Hard to know. And then the further you go down, Road to Respect is virtually certain to run the race. This was his plan all along. 3-1, I think, each way is a knock-and bet. I think this horse is totally underrated.
Yeah, absolutely. I tend to agree. Right, Jenna, you're going to give us one as well, aren't you?
Yeah, couldn't agree more with what Johnny said. There's two horses in the two big feature stay and chase at Christmas that I think are underestimated. One, obviously, is Road to Respect, who I could see going off 7-4 favourite in the day, so the 3-1 is certainly worth taking. And the other, like, I never thought I'd hear myself saying this, but the one horse who's being completely overlooked in the King George market is Bristol de Mai, who, for all we know, obviously, it could just be Haydock. But you're getting 8-1. You're taking a chance. And 8-1 on a horse who has beaten most of the horses he's going to be running against. He was brilliant at Haydock. He's had a wind operation.
He didn't look as much of a mudlover then as well.
No, he certainly didn't. And the thing about Bristol de Mai is, if he gets there in the same type of form, and Nigel Twiston-Davies has spoken about this, that he's had so many problems, but if he can get him freshened up and get him there in that sort of form, like, if we didn't think he just loved Haydock and just loved the mud, if he had ran the way he did in the Betfair Chase, what price would he be now?
And forget
about 5-2. I just think 8-1 is a ridiculous.
And especially as well, they have to go that route for the bonus. I mean, he is obviously going for the race, and barring you have an accident, he has to frame.
I'm not saying he's a certainty by any stretch of the imagination.
No, but at 8-1 he only
but
needs to
he
frame.
is way overpriced.
Would Presenting Percy run there?
No. I think Presenting Percy. I think between now and March there'll only be one aim, and that's March. And I could see him being beaten on each of his runs before Cheltenham. If he has 2 runs or 3 runs, I could see him being beaten in all 3.
So he could
still having
in the Galmoy hurdle or something.
Still have a crack. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. His campaign last year for a horse of that stature was the most bizarre I've ever seen.
Was it Portistown?
He started off in a novice chase. Then he ran top weight in a 3-mile 5 handicap on heavy. Then he ended up running in both a senior hurdle and a senior chase. And then he went back to novice company for the RSA, but Pat Kelly knows what he's doing.
He does. He surely does. Right, let's move on to the Saturday action. Obviously, Caspian Caviar Gold Cup and the International Hurdle at Cheltenham, the features there. Start with the Caspian Caviar Gold Cup, and James, some betting for us there.
Yeah, well, at the moment, your favourite is Ratherby for Nicky Henderson, 3-1 at the moment. You have Baron Alco at 11-2. Frodon and Warsound are both at 9-1, and it's 10-1 bar.
What do you like in this, John?
I have it narrowed down to 2, and the one I like is War Sound for Philip Hobbs and Richard Johnson. It's up £10 for winning at Aintree, but it was so impressive that day. It's up to 146 now, but it's 144 over hurdles, and he was always going to make a better chaser. The form of that Aintree win has worked out really well because the fourth home that day was Warrior's Tale, who won the Grand Sefton last weekend. He's only had 9 starts over fences. I think he was second in 5 of those, and he's chased home some proper good horses. So I think he's still unexposed over fences. I think he's the potential to be a 155 horse over fences, and if he is, I think he's got a cracking chance here. He's only ran once at Cheltenham, and he disappointed. But I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he needs to go left-handed, and he's the one for me. I think the favourite is quite solid, Ratherby. Yeah. I think he'll be in the first 3, but he's priced accordingly. And is it 9-1 War Sound?
Yeah, War Sound 9-1.
Yeah, I think that's a cracking each way bet.
What about you, Johnny?
I like the Tarpees. He's probably more of a place bet in a way than a win bet because there are other more unexposed horses in the race. I hate the fact it's a 15-runner handicap. When he won the race last year, there were only 12 in it, but he won it well that year. He's 5 or 6 pounds higher, and he's stable. Nicky Richards, his last 7 runners going into today, 6 of them won. It's astonishingly good form. He ran a cracker in his prep for this, obviously. You'd have to say Rotherby on the base of how he was travelling. Probably would have beaten him, but he knows this course like the back of his hand. He's by Dark Angel, so not surprising. He does like good ground. He doesn't really look like a chaser, but he's really honest. He used to be trained by Desi Hughes, the late Desi Hughes. And with the stable in such form, I think he's not flashy. Rotherby is probably the horse to beat. War Sound, the way he won at Aintree, you'd have to give him a huge chance because that run was slightly out of the blue. Like it didn't look like he was progressive enough to win that.
Not if you watch What's the Word that week, Johnny.
It was maybe to win by the amount he did. He does travel well in his races, to be fair. I could definitely see him run a big race. Cas Tete isn't completely out of it either. He's 33 to 1. His jumping would be a cause for concern, but like he's still relatively unexposed. He's only a 6-year-old by Polyglot. But I think Guitar Pete will run a big race. He probably won't win, but I'd be very disappointed if he's not in the first 4 anyway. And he'll probably be 4th, and you'll back him.
That's what we want. Horses that probably won't win.
Well, in all of these individually probably won't win, but I think he's probably the best place bet in the race.
What price is he?
He's like 10 to 1 thereabouts. So I think he'll run a big race. And the stable form is astonishing at the moment.
Yeah, that is a massive boost. Right, international hurdle at 305. James, how do you bet for this?
Yeah, well, at the moment, Somerville Boy is in as your favourite. He's 5 to 2. We Have a Dream at 5 to 1. The Old Guard and Brain Power at 6 to 1, and at 7 to 1 bar, but a bit of a shake up in the market. We thought Lorena was going to go there, and unfortunately, Willie's decided not to send Lorena.
If Willie had, I'm not sure what his thinking was here with the ground and all of that, because she doesn't seem to be reliant. This would have been candy from a baby.
No, absolutely.
She's running against the greatest mix and match of unreliable horses here. That you literally nothing can win this race effectively.
This is some bag of tricks.
It really
Holy
is.
God.
It's an awful shame she's not there, because if you wanted to back her for the champion hurdle, she would certainly win this race, and then she would shorten dramatically, even though it's hard to know what she achieved.
Yeah, I just when you go through a race, and I don't know how you study a race, Johnny, but when you start looking at a race, in your head you always have an idea of what you might fancy until you go deeper into form. And I was crossing these off twice before I got back to the third time. Like as you said, there might be no winner, but if there is to be a winner, I think it's probably likely to be We Have a Dream, because I think you can excuse his 2 efforts in that
something has to win.
Yeah. I just think, just reading Nicky Henderson's quote in the paper tomorrow, I think he thinks you'll only see the real We Have a Dream tomorrow. Made the run in first time out at Wincanton against Verdana Blue, and then stepped up and trip at Ascot and just didn't quite get home. I just think they can make plenty of use of him now that they know he's fit. It's his 3rd run of the year. Like Somerville Boy, no matter what way you look at it, that was a desperate run, I thought.
And he was friendless in the betting.
Yeah, it was really, and the way he started last season as well, they're putting it down to that basically, that he takes time to warm up during the season. Maybe he'll come out and win, but he wouldn't be for me. I think if you're backing him at 5 to 2, or whatever price he's going to be in his favourite, I think there's too many question marks hanging over. And he's such a poor jumper as well.
I'm still tipping him, because at least I think if you take out that run, he's probably the most likely winner of the race. Yet he's 5 to 2. If you're backing any of these with Ladbrokes, back them each way and get the guaranteed odds, because this market could go anyway. Like you look at
The best piece of form by a mile is Brainpower's form from a couple of seasons ago.
But like brain power, like how many more things do you have to say about him? Like, he didn't actually even jump that bad the last year, and he still ran a shocker.
Yeah.
I don't know how many
Wind
issues
up,
this are.
back
We have a dream's
operation.
been disappointing, but like I thought this horse, he was a juvenile last season, but he was actually a horse that he's jumps bred, and he looks like a jumper. He doesn't look like this flat horse that would be vulnerable as a 4-year-old this year, but as a 4-year-old he's not actually getting any weight from his elders here, so you have to exonerate him those runs. The new one, I mean,
A visor for the first time at his age.
again,
like seriously.
he still could win.
He actually could. He could win.
This is not a betting race, as far as I'm concerned.
he
Somerville boy,
Well, I mean, it'd be great for Bruce Millington, one of the biggest fans of the new, and he steps down this weekend. Then
Will
the
be
new
written
one
in the
goes and
stars.
wins. He steps down, and the new man, Tom Kerr, comes in. I mean, it'd be perfect for the paper on Sunday, really.
Just on that international hurdle, actually, it's worth noting that if you are going to take on the favourite Somerville boy, and I do expect them to go off favourite, we are going to go money back second to win an SP favourite in that race. So if you're going to follow,
That suits you, Johnny. You don't like.
We
the
have a
horse you think
dream.
will win.
Well, Vision de Flo was half interesting. I remember him winning his bumper back in the day for Robert Tyner. And he's a horse that has plenty of ability. He's raised 150, which shouldn't be anywhere near good enough to win this race, but he's pretty unexposed.
Yeah, you were just pulling things out of the sky. This right. Let's move on to the rest of the card and find some horses that actually will win. Right, Johnny, a couple for you at Fairyhouse. 150.
Yes, I definitely like Schoolboy Hours. He was due to run against Renato Flyer on Sunday, and he was well backed. He's a half brother to Finian's Oscar, obviously. He was a very eye-catching second at Naas, I thought, in his comeback run. On his first run over hurdles, he was third at, I think, Navan. He looks a lovely prospect. I think he'll take a hell of a lot of beating the maiden hurdle. And Gordon Elliott's horse in the handicap hurdle,
Alpha Indy.
Alpha Indy. So Gordon had a horse running in Tremor yesterday. Came from a British yard, seemed to be backed off the boards, weak on track, ran like a drain. But this horse was second to Nicole's Milan in a point-to-point, running off a very modest mark here, and looks exactly the type of horse he will improve. I think Tom Malone picked it up for 6 or 7 grand at sales.
Not me, obviously. But
Tom without a
He
H.
spells his name properly.
But I think they'll have a lot of fun with this horse, and what I love about this race is it's not a good race. Basically, this is the perfect race for it.
Yes, that's the kind of race you want to bet on.
So that'll be my bet of the day at Fairyhouse.
James, you like one for us as well over the course of the afternoon at Cheltenham?
yeah, it's in the Albert Bartlett novices hurdlist. Danny Whizbang, I think he's a very interesting recruit for Paul Nichols. He won an Irish point for Colin Bowe and was pretty impressive that day winning. He was workman enough like on his debut, but he did get up to win, and I just expect him to come on for that. And he's around about 15-2 at the moment, so can't really see him being out of the top
I
three.
like the way
You were gonna take him on, though.
He invented a new word there. Workman enough, like.
Workman
He got enough
like.
into workman, like.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. Inventing words on what's the word.
There we go.
What's the word?
Well, you think so? You fancy something else in this race?
I do, yeah. I fancy Rock Point too. Has it all to do in ratings? But I thought the run in Newbury, that was over 3 miles. It was a proper test. It was a good race. The likes of Petit Swans and the likes were in it. He was second that day, just denied on the line. That was off a mark of 118. He's up to a mark of 125 now. So he still has plenty of improvement to be winning grade 2s. But just the experience, he stays. Tizzard's horse on good form. He won the first at Cheltenham on Friday as well. And I just think this isn't a great renewal of the race. And in the Thistle Crack colours, I'm going to reluctantly go for Rock Point. And 2 others that I really do like. I can't understand why Quell Destin is not odds on for the 245 at Doncaster. It's a grade 2. It's already beaten the second favourite at Cheltenham. They're off the same weight here. The second has a length and a quarter to find. It looks a 2-horse race. Alan King is a runner in there as well, but has a bit to find. I think Kel Dastan is just going to improve. One of these typical juveniles from Paul Nichols who's going to keep improving throughout the season. Should be odds on. I think it's 5-4. I'd be taking that. And I fancy Hell's Kitchen in the 120 at Cheltenham. Harry Fry is at 5 winners in the last fortnight. His horse are really coming into form. But this horse has so much ability. Holy God, he could be a grade 1 horse in the making. Beat Mr. Whittaker last Christmas off a mark of 137. He's only off a mark of 143 now. Known from speaking to Barry Geraghty at a National Home Preview thing we did in Trim, he seemed to think that he'd need his first run of the year against Warsound at Aintree. He's been dropped £2 for that to a mark of 143. This horse has so much ability, and it's about time he start to prove it, but I think he can.
Okay, hopefully you can. Let's move on to the Sunday action then. Navan, the focus on Sunday. Obviously the grade 2, the main event of the day there at 12:30. You're expecting Rhinestone to top the market here. He look quality.
I think Rhinestone is a really proper horse. I think he could be a Cheltenham winner in waiting. I tipped him up at the start of the season.
That's actually a worry with a view to backing him here.
That
He
That
could
I
be a
fan- that I fancy.
no, he could be a Cheltenham winner in waiting, but in what sort of a race?
I don't think they're going to handicap him. He's too good for that. I think he could be a Ballymore winner. Like his form in bumpers, like to beat Santa Simona 18 lengths on the Bridle.
I think
in a
he's
tournament
flattered by
bumper.
that now.
No, I know he's
yeah,
flattered by
yeah.
it, but sure, he still did it.
Yeah.
And I think he won snugger than it looked at Naas. Apparently, and by the betting, you could tell that he did need the run. He's a hell of an engine. Like his form from last season in Leopardstown, even second to Blackbow. I think he's a very, very good horse. I certainly think he's the best horse in this race, and I'll be really disappointed if he's not good enough. And hopefully, the market will speak positively.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good. What do you fancy?
I agree with all that. If you look at the winners of this race, Death Duty, Next Destination,
Mikael Dagenet, Pont
proper
Alexander,
proper
Boston Bob,
race.
Yeah.
No more heroes.
And it's
Next
kind of-
Destination.
And it's almost like a prep for the Naas Grade 1 run in
Yeah.
January. They're only Grade 1. I honestly do reiterate what I'm saying there. I think Rhinestone is definitely the best horse of these. I think he's very, very promising. But I wouldn't be amazed if he was favoured for the County Hurdle or something like that in Cheltenham. And the way McManus horses are campaigned, they kind of can progress with experience, shall we say. I don't know if this is his main aim with a view to what's going on later in the season. They might be trying to give him experience of a good race. If he's popular in the betting, I'd be disappointed if he were beaten. We've obviously the horses that ran against each other the last day, Easy Game, Chogea and Magnum, who looked like he was going to win. I don't think any of them are
I don't
stars.
They're not. They shouldn't be in the same league.
Yeah,
as
I think Easy
Rhinestone.
Game is more nearly of a summer horse for Willie than
Yeah.
a proper winter horse. I'd be disappointed if Rhinestone isn't the best of these. I'm just not sure he'll win on
Okay, we've got 9 runners, so you can put up one each way that you think might not win.
Yeah. Deafy Blue will run a solid race. Get a Reason was disappointing at Cork the last day. It's Rhinestone's race to lose. I'd prefer to see him being popular in the betting before backing.
Okay, just around the rest of the card, it is a really decent card. You got the likes of Envoy Allen in the bumper, Battler over Doyen in the first. I mean, it's worth just going to have and even just take the notebook, isn't it, Jenna?
It is, yeah. There's the first and last are going to be most interesting with Battle over Doyen and Envoy Allen, who's potentially two of the better younger horses in Gordon's stable. I think everybody would be bitterly disappointed if Envoy Allen was beaten. Battler of Doyen looks a nice hurdler in the making. It's interesting that they're going over hurdles with him.
And interesting they're going over 2 miles as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think if this were anywhere other than Navan, they wouldn't be running over 2 miles.
No, probably not. And on the Gordon team, a horse that I've gone down with many, many times before, and he's let me down time and time again. But the Plotting Shed
Interesting terminology.
Yeah,
there.
okie doke.
But yeah, sorry,
Careful
I might
where-
rephrase that. But I think the Plotting Shed is ridiculously well handicapped in the handicap hurdle. I think he's
well,
Stop.
He's been dropped another £2 to 143.
No.
And I just hope in the class will prevail. 2.5 miles back over hurdles at Navan.
The Plotting
Plenty in
Shed
its
will
favour.
never win again, and I can guarantee you that.
Okay.
Never.
What's the forfeit here?
Your wedding day.
Will you spend my whole wedding day in your boxers? Is that how sure
My
you are?
worry about your wedding day is I was planning to do dry January, and it's on January 1st. So anyway.
You know you need to. You're
The
crack.
The
without
Plotting
trying.
Shed will not be winning that race. I love these handicap hurdles at Navan, but he won't be
You won't be
winning
loving this one when he wins it.
Keep an eye out for Elusive Theatre, who could be very interesting off a low weight.
For Stuart Crawford. Right, we'll get our best bets of the weekend then. Looking forward to this. And of course, next week we'll have our Cheltenham preview show, or Cheltenham Christmas preview show even next week. I'm obsessed with Cheltenham. Anyway, we're looking forward to our Christmas preview show next week. Let's get our best bets of the weekend. James, start with you.
Yeah, I'm going to go with an each-way treble here, and it starts on Saturday with Frodon in the Caspian Caviar Gold Cup. Finished 2 lengths behind Baron Alco last time, but Baron Alco's gone up in the weights, so I think it could allow Frodon to get ahead of him. And in the second race on Saturday, it is Danny Whizbang. Of course, I spoke about him a little bit earlier in the show. And on Sunday, in that Grade 2, currently around about 7-2 on the tissue prices, I've gone with Deafy Blue against Rhinestone. So I think Deafy Blue could run into a place there at least. He's 2 from 2 at Navan, so brings the course form to the table.
Good stuff, Johnny. Who are your 3?
Very sweet on Stowaway forever in the 205 at Navan. He was backed off the boards the last day. Never travelled, but managed to finish third. He looks like he does want stepping up and trip now, even though I wasn't sure about this beforehand. But he's run very well at Naas, so I think going to Navan will be no problem for him. Dempsey's are absolutely flying as well. The second best bet would be, I'm going to say Schoolboy Hours, and the third is also at Ferryhouse, Gordon's horse, whose name is?
Alpha Indy.
Alpha Indy.
And the
First
3
one for
o'clock.
Gordon. Gordon is in flying form, and as are his horses.
Yeah, absolutely. David Jennings, number 3.
Yeah, I'm going to go for War Sound in the feature Caspian Caviar Gold Cup at Cheltenham. I'm going to go for Hell's Kitchen in the 120 at Cheltenham, and Kel Destin in the 245 at Doncaster.
Good stuff. I'm going to take on Johnny in that 150 at Fairhouse, by the way, but done vegan for Pat Fahey. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week at our Christmas special of What's the Word.